This is tough scene Cleveland, dude.
Like a pasta fagioli.
Tough Scene Cleveland. That was the Flying Trichecos. The song off that was Try Tricheco. Cool. It rings. It's got a ring in the air. I am Nick Wolff. We are back with you for another epic episode of Tough Scene Cleveland. We're cowering in this is like a bathroom stall in here, trying to get out from the weather. We're in a shack in the middle of the woods, but yet there is still urban filth all around us. Dave, how you? We're in the new palatial studios. We switched studios after 1 week. We've already moved. We're moving up in the world.
Yes. Palatial studios.
And Dave set this all up. There's a fire hazard right here. I am going to die before this show is over. There's a sparking outlet right next to me.
That thing's set up like the scene in Ghostbusters.
I like having a sprinkle, like a mist of water at me too at all times to keep me at the right level, to keep me cool and ready to go. And it could be very dangerous here.
Wake you up.
It's nothing but the finest here at Punjab Studio P.
Is that what it's called this week? Dude, what is your nickname this week? Do you have a new one? Is it Hammer Jockey or something like that?
Fucking Dolphin Cock.
Yeah, Dolphin Cock and Spiel. Sorry, it's a terrible day. Whatever, I can't break the third wall, but it's a terrible day, and the wind is biting, and I gotta say, I love the toilet out in the middle. We have a beautiful green room now with like a theater couch from the 1950s and the toilet just sitting right there. It's only the best. This is like the Ritz, Dave.
Punjab diner area.
It's like a goddamn Chelsea hotel. There's a hooker burrowed in the corner with a knife wound in her and a needle still hanging out of her arm. Jeff, do you have a good week and fun stuff? What's going on with you?
Oh, it was back to work this week for me.
Yeah.
Some unemployment, so... You
guys figuring out a way to scam that whole casino thing yet?
We're working on it.
You gotta jump on board. I mean, listen, you guys are a year behind everybody else. You know DeMora and Russo already got their cuts like 6 years ago for this shit. And those guys in Detroit, they were like, hey, Clevelanders, yeah, you guys should do it too, because it's working for our city.
They're building an
idiots.
aquarium.
Yeah, an aquarium. That's what we need. That's going to bring this city back. Not making the Rock Hall something that people actually want to go to. Not refurbishing the flats. The aquarium, that's the first step. We had one of those in like the 70s. Didn't all the animals... I remember a story from when I was a kid. I'll ask Tony or Jim more about it. They were around. They're old. But
it's called the zoo.
Well, yeah, I think there was an aquarium in this... No, there used to be like an aquarium, though. Like... just straight up aquarium, and nobody went there, and it was like there were knifings and shit and fucking abortions going on in the back lot. But I think at the zoo they had something like every animal died or drowned. Ohio's got a real bad history of like killing off animals. We got to stop. Dogs and cats we can barely take care of. We don't even have the deer under control here in Ohio. Deer are fucking running wild. They're living in Midtown. They got apartments. When the Indians,
see them in the front yard.
Right, when the Indians move out, there's a family of deer ready to move in. They got 6 cousins living with them too. I guess, I don't know, deers might be from South America or Mexico, but it's just gotten out of control. And like, then you had that guy killing all those, like, went crazy and let those tigers and bears. I guess Dave's not interested in this at all. And the state, basically there was a law that went down that basically the last governor left the loophole so that basically was ending that you can't keep, that there's going to be control on endangered animals and stuff. And the new governor let it lapse. He I guess it's tough when you're taking control of office, and it takes 4 years to really start anything, or at least that's what the Republicans don't want you to believe. But, and this crazy dude let all these animals go, tigers and shit, and they're all dead now because, that's how we solve any problem, by just killing stuff, which I'm fine. I mean, killing animals is what made America great and made the world great. We'd be nowhere without bone arrows and, wheels made out of...
It's just really weird when you have, this weird Southern Ohio redneck situation where a guy's got his own personal backyard zoo with tigers and...
Right, because you can do anything you want. Outside of Cuyahoga County, you can really do whatever you want.
Yeah, south of Cuyahoga line is the South.
Right, this one guy's breeding bird monkey people, and it's totally just a bad scene. There's a giant toxic radioactive sign instead of an address, but we don't care. There's no, that's where the tax money comes from, is everywhere out of Cuyahoga County, so you can do whatever you want. You want to there's a giant altar to a Mayan god where they sacrifice virgins in Stowe every couple weeks. We don't give a shit. Do whatever we want.
Indian mounds.
Right. Dave, do you have anything useless to add to this? I'm sorry. I just want to address everybody. I may be a little rough on Dave from time to time. It's because he deserves every drop of it. He makes everything difficult for me. But Dave's awesome, and I wouldn't have... Dave's part of the team. We are I'm like Derek Jeter, and he's... Are there any sucky players on the Yankees? I'm not going to say A-Rod or Jorge Posada. Like a guy that just came up from AAA. I'm just kidding, Dave. You're
between bouts of alcohol.
You're the Joe Torre of this, meaning that I'd wish you'd move to L.A. and just disappear. So, Tough Scene Cleveland, we got a great show here for you. Paul, once again, I gotta say, last week, listening back, I'm glad, it was nice listening to Wednesday's show on Friday. It really gives you a couple days to prepare when it's not up on time. But it was a good show. We kind of interviewed a little bit more. CJ, he had a good story and stuff like I want to talk, and we're going to let our guests talk if they want to. But also, we want to save room for basically whining, complaining, and shit-talking, because that's the main meat of what this show is about. Yes. And we got some really good guests for that this week. We can't have Steve Eggs every week, so we got to find other assholes to fill in every once in a while. We have Jim Lippuci from Soulless, and he's also he's taken over it used to be called the Jigsaw, now it's the Hive. It had 15 names in the last couple months. It's been relaunched over and over, but Jim's going to get in there. I think he's already given up, but he's going to get in there again, and we're going to talk to him about that. Also, we have Tony Erba, the legend, at least around here, at least among the scooter fans, the scooter clubs in this city. I think he's in an Outlaws scooter group. It's like a little brothers of the motorcycle gang Outlaws. They're called the In-Laws. But we're going to talk to him about his illustrious history, and also both of them about the history of the city. I guess that's the theme. Are things much worse than they were back in the day, or is it just a preconceived notion, and were they really all that much better, or is it the same kind of crap recycling? Because I've read, I wasn't around, but I've read some stuff, and it seems like the stories really, some things never change, so we're going to kind of get into all that, and just, I'm sure we'll talk shit about each other and get into a screaming match, hopefully. We'll also have Aron here to make sarcastic comments, and, so, we're going to play a couple more songs, and we will be back. Tough Scene Cleveland.
Now there's no use in waking up each morning to see yourself.
Cleveland back here. I don't know, it was a good track. The end of that, though, is very indicative. The way it just falls apart and distorts is very indicative of how we're running things here. Dave, the crack technical advisor here, cracked because he just bought a 50 rock and he's in the bathroom smoking. And by bathroom, I mean the toilet out in the middle of the room. I'm very happy. I'm speechless bringing in our next guest. Do we have the right accommodations? Make it easy for him, Dave, all right? It's hard for him to get around.
I don't know if we're accessible.
Is this setup ADA approved?
Right. He needs his own parking spot, too, from now on. We have Jim Lippuci. Parma legend. I guess not just Parma. I guess you're known in other parts.
Do I even need these headphones? Do they even do?
I don't know. Can you hear yourself?
That helps me. I can pretend that I'm on a real radio show.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about.
It's like you got Baba Booey over there. He's Baba Booey and Scott the engineer all in one.
Exactly. Yeah. Really, we could talk into a tape recorder. We'd be better off with that moron over there. He's hitting the board with a wrench right now, and there's sparks coming out. It's a mess. It's Jim, Soulless, Domestic Crisis, right? Or
yeah, Decimation.
Decimation. The list goes on and on and on. It's a wonder you're here. You should be just collecting royalties at this point, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for coming out. I know it's very tough. Just a little bit about you that I think my audience needs to know. You are gifted with the gift of a wooden leg.
Is that a gift?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, keeps on giving, too.
My mom said what makes us different makes us special.
That explains a lot.
I hate you for being different, too. I'm going to... Dave, give me a saw. How dare Lippuci upstage me? This baby's coming off right now. But you got a new one, right? You still have Eddie on the leg? Or
no, this leg's about 3 years old. It's still the... live after death leg.
Before Phil Loris snatched it out from underneath you.
Yeah, I've been running from the repo man, luckily.
It's hard to run from anybody, too, on a wooden leg. Those repo men are very incompetent at this point.
It's more of a wobble.
Jim, when did you start jamming? When did you make the stupid decision to start playing music and get into this life?
I don't know. Probably was in high school, I think. I always wanted to do it, but, I'm too lazy and stupid to play an instrument or anything. So I think it was probably like right around when I was 18, I officially joined my first band.
When you were able to dupe some rubes and doing all the work for you so you can get drunk and just walk up the stage.
I used to write really bad lyrics and then fucking sing Slayer songs in the hall of Normandy High, and then someone's like, hey, you should be in our band.
Meanwhile, the principal's like, get the fuck out of here. Go jam with them. Normally, we don't advise you to drop out of school and start a band, but you won't stop singing. Get the hell out.
Yeah, we don't need some asshole singing trouble songs in the men's room.
So you went to Normandy. I'm from Parma.
Sure.
You're from the rich area. Did you drive your Camaro to school every day?
No, I didn't. I took the short bus.
That was before there were wiggers, though, so Normandy must have been pretty cool. Now it's just been since 1990, and the wigger was invented in a dirty laboratory somewhere to plague the world, just like AIDS. I think AIDS, the person that invented the wigger also invented AIDS, but it was still probably a place where you smoke weed and the gym and shit, right?
It was back in the days of jocks and stoners. Those were the only. That was the only delineation of people.
Right, I'm thinking Dazed and Confused, just a little more dazed and a lot more confused as time goes on. So what was who were the first guy? Was it Domestic Crisis, or did you have to be in a bunch of shitty bands for a while?
That was the first band I was in with a bunch of Normandy dudes, basically. Well, a couple Normandy dudes and some other jerks.
No wiggers, though, right?
No. Yeah, those hadn't begun yet. Those hadn't started. So.
Now, kind of one of the themes, since I have you guys on today, and even some what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes here, is kind of just general looking back at this city and its kind of history of clubs and bands playing here throughout the last, you go past 30 or 40 years, but in that time period and kind of what you guys know and how, everyone's like, oh, it was so much better back then. I kind of want to really address, was it really better back then, or is it the same shit? And we just, have a fonder memory. Do things ever really change? What was it like back then? Can you describe just a little bit, what it was like trying to play? What were we talking, late 80s?
Yeah, it was, what was that? Probably 88, 87 was when I first started out. And I mean, I think the thing is, especially for like, you know, this kind of music, like underground music, metal, hardcore, punk, like it was just such a, you know, that was when all the shit was just being born, kind of. It was like all evolving, and so I think that newness, I think, is why it was so cool.
Right, it's like the energy where it wasn't just going through the paces and people kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, you know, seeing the Cro-Mags and, you know, Destruction. So it was like a German thrash band and a you know, New York hardcore band or wherever they're from.
Right, yeah, I believe, yeah, they're the East Coast.
But just, you know, they're touring together, and I saw, you know, there's like 800 people at the Fantasy Theater to see that, you know, and to, you know, nothing draws like that now, like, you know, that caliber kind of.
And that filthy dump with those rat people, that used to be a cool place back in one day. I remember, even when I first started going shows, which was years after, you know, some of you guys, the Fantasy was actually like a really cool place where you could get a decent show and people would come to. Now it's just a vile cesspool of all these clubs put into one building. They're all the same club, but they got different signs so that you think you're not being ripped off for every drink that is just your pink Jägermeister. Were those rat people, they still live there back then? Was it infested by those shrews?
Yeah, it's been, I believe that place has been operated by the same family since as long as it's been open.
They're like Morlocks, like loose dogs get out. There's no like stray dogs on Detroit because they find them all, and that's what they eat. So they cook up in their chili. They just eat nothing but Detroit alley dog.
I mean, back in the day, though, that was, you know, the Fantasy Theater and nightclub. That's where, you know, a lot of the big touring bands came through, you know.
Now, what did you do? Like, was it because now, you know, promoters got into these years and kind of screwed everything up. But back then, did you just go to like the club and say, "Hey, we want to play with this band," or did you like get in touch with the band and kind of form a relationship with them by like, stalking and being annoying?
It was kind of both, you know. Like, in fact, I remember when I was in D.C., Domestic Crisis, one of our first shows, these dudes in that band Confront gave us, you know, they were these East Side guys, you know, that for whatever reason they liked us Parma assholes, you know, and usually those snooty East Siders always look down on us. But like those dudes for whatever reason, they liked us, and we kind of, you know, friended up with them, and they put us on shows. But there was, you know, sometimes you try to talk to a promoter at a show and say, you know, give the whole spiel about how you're the greatest band on the fucking planet.
And they're going to make you so much money.
1,000 people. You're going to sell all the liquor out.
And they've got this other band that's this huge act that you never heard of, but they can set something up with them if you're lucky.
Yeah.
It's good to know some things never change. But back then, even with the promoters, though, some of those guys weren't as terrible, I think. Like, at least they made a living off of trying to rip off bands and sponge off it, and they weren't just some, you know, jerk that worked the door twice, talked to Skinny from Mushroom Head and decided they were going to start a promotion company.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was, you know, I mean, the dudes were shady and stuff, but I don't think, you know, back in the day, I don't even, you know, no one ever asked you to sell tickets or anything like that. That whole thing didn't exist.
Yeah.
I just never got, like, I want to be rock and roll, like, I want to be in a band, like, that's the most, and, you know, like, yeah, I'm a band guy, please buy 3 tickets for, like, you know, knocking at the door. Just when you're, like, emulating the Girl Scouts in any way, shape, or form, maybe that's not rock and roll. And I hate, like, they're always like, it's show business. That's for you to decide.
If you want to make money on the tickets, you have to sell them more than the face value of what's on there. How much of a douchebag are you there? We want to buy this for $10. It says $5.
Right, exactly. Like, we got to make something. Yeah, it's terrible. You might as well like have a big floppy hat and like a bowl and be asking for porridge. Say Oliver Twist. But you guys kind of got started, and you know, now Domestic Crisis was more of a hardcore punk band, right?
Yeah, I guess, you know, like back in the day we kind of called it, you know, crossover. You know, that's like that was like the cool term. You know, like bands like DRI and stuff that kind of. Like definitely, like, you know, punk rock origins, but like metal kind of sound. Right,
kind of a little bit, kind of a jump way, even more than like where thrash had been, kind of blending them together more, a little bit even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before you sold out and started playing metal like a fag. I'm always going to rip on the metal guys. Obviously, this is Cleveland. We're dominated by metal. It is pretty much what everyone wants here. It's what everybody's into. Listen, I'm in a band that plays shows where we get 15 people and they're fucking bored with the same 3 bands for 4 years. So I will talk shit about metal because I'm a spiteful bastard. And if I can't be part of it, I will shit on it every time. So how long did you guys do the Domestic Crisis, and what were just like, do you have any like good crazy memories of that, or?
Yeah, we did it. I think it was about 3 years that band lasted. I think, and no real crazy things. We used to have this crazy practice spot on the corner of State and Pleasant Valley where my buddy's dad was a doctor. It was his dad's doctor's office.
Oh, they're probably
It was Doc's Shake Shop.
Yeah, right, okay.
And it was the same.
I'm sure they loved you there. Domestic Crisis is practicing. Open up the Shake Shop.
Yeah, that was one of the rules. We couldn't practice till after the Shake Shop closed because it scared all the customers.
Right. Is he put like 16-year-old girls working the fountains and shit? You guys come walking past.
After that, though, it got really crazy because we were high school kids. We all of a sudden had a place to hang out and do drugs and drink and be assholes. So it was. A lot of acid and a lot of booze went on there.
That's how it should be. A band practicing at a Shake Shop in Parma. There should be acid and booze, and that's all these people, these guys that come on, they play guitar. Their dad bought them a guitar when they were 14, and they started this band, and they're playing big shows at Peabody's, and they're talking about like, oh, we're going to sign by Jägermeister. They forget the real point of being in a band is being an ugly loser and needing some way to be introduced to find good drugs and to be able to bang a fucked up girl every once in a while. Sure, that always bits you in the ass because you're never going to get a girl that's just not going to make your life miserable.
You got one leg, man. There's not a lot of...
Yeah, what did you... Wow.
It's like getting a band or
learn to, like, breathe fire or something. Get a boat, a fleet of ships. Yeah, you're kind of limited there on options. But,
and plus, it's, that's the only way you're going to get laid, so... Unless you do something.
So you're getting laid sometimes. You're just ripping on acid at the Shake Shop. So what did you now? When that ended, was it still? Did you guys? Is that when you jumped to like the full on the metal?
Well, when I was in Domestic Crisis, I joined that Decimation band. They were kind of an established metal band, and I actually was doing both for a while, which was kind of weird. Like that didn't go on back then for some reason. Like that wasn't really common. To be playing in multiple bands.
Right. Not like guys who are in 8 bands. Yeah. Half the people in this room are in 8 bands apiece now.
It's like if something were to happen here, the entire Cleveland music scene would be
this would be 1959. This would be the plane crash. Except every would be the day the music was had a second chance and no one would be sad at all. There'd be a parade down Memphis every... Dave would survive though because God forbid some good come out of it. He'll be recording another friggin' crappy rockabilly band in 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. But, and I'm just trying to move, kind of get in, and then Soulless comes along. And that's been your thing for a while now.
Yeah, that was probably like 95. I was about 2 years I didn't do music from, I think, like 93 to 95. I wasn't really in a band at all.
Did you sober up and realize it was stupid? It's probably better just to have a regular job?
It wasn't so much that, but it was just the music scene was pissing me off. Like all the thrash bands I liked all like got gay and started putting out shitty records. Like, it's like... everyone makes the joke, the first record was the best, but when some of the crap that some of these bands lost their intensity, I was like, fuck this. Everyone became kind of douchebaggy, and that's when like death metal was becoming totally huge, and I was more into thrash, so.
Right. Because it's the minute like people start telling you a lot like that they like it that you kind of like get a little bit of full of yourself like, oh, I'm a musician now, I gotta make stuff that, and you forget just to make the stupid crap that people like that was just easy and simple and fun.
Yeah, I think that's what it is they all, they try to think too much about their songs and instead of writing shit that really ripped.
All bands, stay in the basement.
Yeah.
Do not try to book shows. Don't book albums. That's just stupid. Get some acid, maybe a little, a little crappy cocaine or whatever, some weed, and just keep doing that. So, so you got suckered back in. Has it been the same lineup?
Well, in '95 we started out. The band was called Bloodsick. And it was actually...
I was blood sick, actually. It was a real bad problem, though. I had a transfusion from a real disreputable place. I was in Panama, but we won't get into that.
So, yeah, eventually, that was me and Chris Dora and Wayne Richards, who's, they're still all in Soulless. And then we eventually changed the name. So it's been the three of us. I've been jamming with those dudes for, it's over 15, it's almost 16 years now.
God.
And then we changed the name. Soulless has been Soulless for about... It's maybe 14 years now. So
God, some things just won't go away.
some fuckers just won't stay dead.
Well, you guys are all very healthy. That's probably the healthiest band I've ever seen. You guys definitely don't have that sickly rock and roll metal look at all. You guys are all plump and happy.
Yeah, we're definitely a heavy metal band. That's for sure.
So, although you guys had some disrupt, Jim Corrick left?
Yeah, he just quit. He was in the band for 11 years, and he just kind of got sick of it. I think he got sick of driving to Akron, and I don't know, he probably got sick of my gas and me and Wayne, between me, Wayne, and Big Metal, man. There's
so many things to be sick of with just you.
With me alone, there's a fucking... So yeah, I think, he just wasn't into it anymore, and it was kind of good because we could sense it a little bit, that he wasn't 100%, and then he eventually was like, yeah, I gotta quit, so...
So you got Matt Sorg now, right?
Yeah, so, Matt, and we've known Matt for years, and he's been doing different stuff with Dora for probably 10, 11 years, or even longer, maybe 15 years, they've been jamming in various projects and stuff, so it was kind of... In fact, he already wrote a song, and, he knows about 9 of our songs, so we should be...
So between him and Dora now, you have somebody that's been in every band in this city ever.
Yeah.
How many bands is Dora doing now? Is he down to 4 or 5 yet? Or
he's only doing I think he's only doing, he does Soulless, The Gluttons, and he's got a cover band called Mind Riot. So that's
all right, Mind Riot's still going strong. I haven't been to the Tradesman in a while.
They're still whipping out those Weezer covers.
They had a rivalry with Jeff Endeman for a while, and it got really ugly about the part where you can play acoustic sets in Parma.
You can play Weezer tonight?
Yeah, it's dangerous. And then you have the guys in Wiener that are really just pissed about the whole thing. But, and I guess the last thing, the big thing that I want to talk about, obviously, the Hive, formerly known as the Jigsaw for years and years, the Parma Tavern before that, not to be confused with the one on Brook Park or on Broadview. Obviously, we worked at the Jigsaw towards the end. We were part of the Maniac Phil's Reign of Terror. And so, I guess, stood idly by, even though we tried, but there's just really nothing you could do.
There's only so much you could beat your head against a wall before you just man, fuck it.
Yeah, before you just give up, and it was really bad.
Before you just give up and just pay yourself in Christmas ale.
We had to get stoned 6 times a day just to get through this shit. I can edit that out if anyone's nervous about that. This is internet radio, though. We can talk about drugs and stuff. It's awesome.
And say
But the Hive they started off, and they've kind of had some bumps along the way. They brought in a guy recently called... I'm not going to say his name. No names, but that's what they tell me in broadcasting schools. I'm not allowed to give names. But basically a douchebag that came in and kind of made a real ass out of himself real quick. These guys come in and they bullshit people and they're like, dude, I can do it. And they just tell people what they want to hear, but they're exposed really quick. And that's why I hate being in a band. And my biggest problem with promoters is just the fact that you have to take shit from someone new every couple months. And it's like, oh, hey, now I'm booking this club. You have to listen to me. My opinion matters. No, you're still the same asshole you were last week. Now you're just basically not getting paid.
Put bands in a club.
Right, exactly. And they're going to hate you afterwards because you're fucking them.
God, I should turn this
Jim,
off.
do you know anything about the protocol, about being on the air? Damn it.
I freaking forgot.
This is professional. Listen, we don't have people like Dave Parrish involved with something not professional.
That was Jim
okay?
Kanye calling. Maybe he wanted to put the phone in. He was supposed to be here, but he said he had something to do today.
I think we have the technology for that. We really need to go out of our way to hear from Jim Kanye. I can hear him right now. Yeah, we were supposed to have Kanye in, but he's probably going shopping with Lindsay or something. Lindsay put up a thing.
He's crying into his Steelers towel.
Right, yeah. The world's over for him. But so you're trying to get in there, and we'll talk about this too more after we have Tony in and stuff. We'll come back to all this. But you're in there and you're trying to make, what's going on with you? You're trying to make stuff better there, right?
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, the owners, someone I know talked to the owners, and they wanted to know if he knew anyone that used to work at the Jigsaw, and they kind of wanted to maybe try to get that vibe going or something.
That vibe.
Which, that was the first red
bunch
flag.
of poor assholes stealing drugs.
Yeah, doing heroin and fucking being drunk. That's great. But yeah, so I just talked to them about some stuff, and they asked, they just wanted to know how things used to be run there, and how the band thing ran and all that. And they said they were getting rid of that guy that was in there because he was pissing off too many people. So somehow I roped myself into trying to help them out, for for chicken wing. God damn it! I turned this off. For chicken wings and friggin' beer, you know.
That is, you would sell Jesus over for that. That's your 40 pieces of silver.
I stopped drinking beer and I stopped eating a lot of that shit because I got to lose.
Yeah, you were on a diet. I'd see you had like fruits and vegetables. And, no, I didn't see what you did once you got past the rest of the grocery store and what you walked out with. But you know, I was feeling happy for you. And then they suck you in, and now you're like your blood's alcohol and teriyaki sauce. It's just bad news.
But yeah, I'm just trying to help them out, see if we can't, get some decent bands in there, make sure that the bands don't get ripped off, and make sure that the shows run smooth. And well, yeah, I mean, at least it's all right to rip the bands off as long as they don't have the perception that they're getting ripped off.
Right. Yeah, you massage them while you're back. Give them a back rub while you take that pocket, the wallet out of their pocket.
Yeah, I just, I love that room. I love playing there. I love that I could, even my crippled ass can pretty much walk home from there when I'm drunk.
Right.
And it's like, it made me really, really bum me out. I was sad when it closed and going by that place being empty, and it's just kind of like, well, maybe I can. I don't know what kind of delusional thinking.
Right. Just like I want you to flashback to about
like the iceberg telling the Titanic, "Hey, let me help you out."
I want you to flashback to about 4 years ago when you had a good job at a sign making company, and you went to the bar one day, and this guy Phil walked up to you, who seemed to be doing everything right at that time, and said, "Hey, Jim, why don't you come work for me? I'll give you benefits." Hey, dude, you sick of your job?
Hey, dude. You're in here getting drunk every night. You got a day job?
Hey, you Mark. How can I take advantage of you?
I got so much money. I can afford that. Don't worry.
No, it's going to be different this time, Jim. It's going to be different this time. But no,
I'm not expecting a paycheck this time. So
right, exactly. Right, when you have no expectations, you can't be screwed. But no, it's cool. You did your DJ night last night. I came up for a minute. I made a celebrity appearance.
Yeah, there were, 6 people there.
It was great. I'm going to do next week, though. It'll be fun. It'll be Nick Wolff.
If they let me.
Yeah, I know. You're probably done already. You told them that, it's going to be patient, but they're like, fuck, man. Well, 6 people. We're going to be really patient for this. Are you going to have 8 next week, Jim?
6 people, and 2 of them are the DJs.
Right. But I think as long as you have Wayne in there, I think things will, from there, that will be the seed that you plant.
Well, we're just, what happened is when they got rid of this guy, he kind of made some threats and didn't want any of the shows going on that he booked.
We talked to
3 shows that he booked for the next year that he had set up.
Yeah, we talked to CJ last week and kind of with his problems with him.
So yeah, but now there's no shows, so it's like we got to think of stupid shit. So any bands out there, you want to book that room, let me know.
What about live theater? I've been thinking about doing a one-man act.
Comedy?
Right. Well, I don't know about
art.
Does comedy mean they have to laugh? I call it comedy, but the whole laugh part still evades me.
Caddyshack the musical?
Dog and pony shows?
Right.
Uninterpretive dance.
Oh, wow, look, Dave, thank you. Wow, he's back. Dave doesn't have time to actually be on the air with us, or come by anywhere near a microphone. He's afraid of them. This is Tough Scene Cleveland. We're going to play some more music. We will be back. Jim, Jim's going to hang out. We're going to talk about some more stuff. But we're going to have Tony Erba from Face Value, Cheap Tragedies, Amps to 11, Gordon Sully, motherfuckers. The list goes on. And Aron Dowell, who is also in Amps to 11, and the Nick Wolff Band with me and Dave. And then we're going to talk more about clubs. We're going to talk about this Hive thing even more. And just, we're going to get to the heart of it, the root of the matter. Tough Scene Cleveland. Yeah, here's some music.
Die.
Yo, Tough Scene Cleveland. This is Nick Wolff here. That was Steve's and Julie's with 2 Feet Tall. And before that, it was Spain by Sun God. I've actually played with both of those bands. Steve's and Julie's are fine young men. They have some ties to a certain Frank Martinez, I think, also, but I won't get more into that. We are here now with Aron Dowell and Tony Erba. Our guests here in the studio, and Jim's still hanging out. He can't get too far with his leg. How you guys doing? What's going on? Yeah, awesome. That's totally fucking great. You're really with it.
Enthusiasm.
You talked yourself out over in the cesspool that Dave calls a living room.
You mean that wasn't the show?
No, we should have recorded you. They had something to say then. Tony, we'll get to you first. You have an extensive history in this city. Kind of what we're talking about today is basically, I'll say it again, that the history of like clubs and bands in this city and how everyone's kind of like, oh, it was so much better back then. And I want to get to the root of it, if it really was or if it's the same crap. But you have definitely been around for a lot of it. When did you start playing music and why?
I started playing in, I want to say, 1985, in summer '85. With a band called Lek, which had a lot of luminaries such as Jim Kanya and Ron Merck and Chris Pello.
Oh, you've unleashed God, that's unleashing a bad thing into the world.
By luminaries, you mean criminals.
Scumbag.
Yeah, and we were kind of Domestic Crisis' little brother band, and we were never on the same level musically as them.
Yeah, we used to give them wedgies. And
you guys are the cool guys, as you looked up to them and wanted to be like Lippuci.
I remember we let you guys. I remember the one time that we let them jam at our practice spot, and Erba got hit with a shoe or something.
Yeah, there was always goings on.
He can't even remember he's been hit with shoes and exploding things so many times.
This one didn't have a foot in it.
It wasn't a leg, though, was it?
Well, we were clueless putzes, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. One of the guitar players was more like a Ramonesy guy, and the other was Merck, who was like thrash metal creator and stuff.
Great story about Merck, actually. Steve Eggs, we used to go over there and hang out there for a while. Merck won't talk to Steve Eggs anymore because one day Merck goes out to his door, opens the door to find Steve Eggs banging some chick in like his driveway. His like nasty girlfriend at 2 a.m.
Any port in a storm. You get mad at the guy for getting some ass.
Well, it's kind of hard to do.
Everyone wants Steve Eggs banging abroad in their driveway.
Well, I think every 40-year-old knows what it's like when their dad, is home and they can't bang a girl in the room.
At least he wasn't banging a dude.
Right. That was the shock. That's why
you have to call bullshit.
That's why Merck doesn't want to talk to him anymore. But
poor Ron, he's been just beaten into submission by Jim anyhow. Kanye, that is.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone that can surround Kanye too long just I find ourselves talking. He's like the phantom of this whole thing. Like we talk about him, he'll never show. Thankfully, though. It's like Beetlejuice. We say his name 3 times. We'll hear him. He'll be standing there, just handing out flyers for the next stupid show.
Like, what's up, dude? Pissed.
He like
land you a record and a sticker.
I see him lurking at the grocery store now, and he's got like flyers and 7 inches. So Lek introduced Tony Erba, Jim Kanya, and Merck to the world.
I guess so.
God,
we didn't. We played parties and stuff. Our biggest show was. We opened for Warzone and Domestic Crisis at some place in Bedford, and then
was it called November's?
September.
And that's how long it was open. Was for September.
It was a nice club. It was about as big as Flash's.
Yeah.
And it was a huge show. There was like hundreds of people there. So we were like, this is great. But then someone trashed the guy was apparently a taxidermist, and he had this backstage room that had elks and mooses and shit mounted on the wall. Warzone, this fucking crazy skinheads from New York City got loaded, trashed the place, and of course it's like, we get the blame for it. So
yeah, the guy, I remember he called me at my house at like 3 a.m, and he's like, "Did you guys trash our?" I'm like, "What? You wouldn't even let us in there." And I think that was a shit show too. That some hippie was like handing out acid. So I think I was on like 2 hits of acid.
Putting you guys in a room like that is like
telling me, he's like, "What did you do to my taxidermy?" And I'm like, "What?"
I remember Steve Murray from Confront. He rode his motorcycle to the show, and there was some skinhead there in the pit that was kind of a cheap shotting people. So he put his motorcycle helmet on and just waited in the crowd and just fucking steamrolled.
Like Evel Knievel just beat the shit out of me. Yeah, having you guys in that kind of environment's like putting Ron Sandusky in front, Jerry Sandusky in front of a fucking Boy Scout troop. You're just inviting trouble there.
Hey, when I was a little kid in the summer, I loved going to Sandusky.
Still do.
Yeah, right. He spent many Sandusky spent many summers in him, but. So were things a lot different then? Like, because back then there were some great places, but there probably wasn't the saturation where as many places that were open for a couple of months they can play. And you talk about doing parties. Was that kind of like really kind of the cornerstone of playing is just like getting friends together and finding a place you can play and just...
Well, I thought it was cool because back then you'd still play, you know, there was still... It seems like no one has house parties anymore. And back then, that was like the big cultural thing was so-and-so's having a party, and they might have bands. And also, the big thing was like a big goal to reach for was making a demo tape. Now no one makes demos anymore. That's like a thing in the past. And there was like clubs that were open like, you know, maybe a year. They'd have a year or two run. And then be on to the next club because always one would open and one would close. Because
you actually had to get into a studio then. It wasn't like now where you have Pro Tools or whatever.
There was like three. There was Beat Farm in Beechwood. And then there was
Mars.
Yeah, but he had just opened.
Park,
he had just opened. So before that, it was like making a record, even a demo, was kind of like an unattainable thing. It was like, well, only like, you know, these guys that were 30 years old can make demos. You know,
all studios were like $150 an hour.
Yes, and they had, you know, it was the same story you heard a million times. Well, the guy was into the Dead and stuff, and he had no idea never heard of a stream band like this. You know, the guy's telling you, well, you know, we're going to put some echo on your vocals and stuff, and they had no idea how to do heavy or fast music at all.
Right, and you're like listening to them because it's their studio, like, all right, they should know something, and they're just totally
the
just...
same old bullshit. Now it's like no effort to make a record.
That must have been a long time ago if it was a time in Cleveland and Billy Morris didn't own a studio.
Yeah, it was, well, the first place I ever recorded was the original Mars, but he had just set up shop there. They're using back of by the Revolution over there.
I just like to think of a great day when Jim Kanye couldn't put out a friggin' 7-inch every 2 months.
That was back when Jim Kanye, well, I guess he still had 7 bands back then.
The same ones.
In that way.
Yeah, he had Schnauzer, Schnauzer, Lex, Sanhedrin.
Yeah, well, actual bands. Lex was only one played out, and then he had like, what was that band he joined with? Colleen Clory was in the band.
Demigods.
Yeah, right. I think he actually played out with them.
So we're talking like mid 80s here, or
I started
early
playing in '85, and then and then we lasted till like late in '87, I think.
Now, did you see like what this city could like? Was there a chronology of like? Because I know by the time I kind of like got into it later in the '90s, there was already like kind of a thing had passed where there'd been a lot of people into it, and it was kind of a cool thing, and things were running wild. Did you how did that happen? Did you see that? Was that something that was going on already, or is that something that kind of had to deal with just playing where you could before, like really bands started kind of emerging again, kind of getting out of that mid '80s rut?
Here's the whole thing. They had, you know, I was still like really starting in a hardcore, but I was a metalhead at heart, so I was still like really steeped in the metal scene, which has always been strong here. And Diversions was going real strong. That was a good, you know, and Shadows was big, and those places were open for a good run. But for hardcore, the places were the Underground, which I only went to a couple times, and the Lakefront, which I never went to. Places that, you know, it wasn't like I could ride my bike to a lot of these places, you know.
Right.
The old Brooklyn Tavern, too. There was good shows there. But, like, that era was right when the old guard, the downtown art crowd started dying out. They were all big into drugs and stuff.
Right, that Pagans, Pink Holes kind of.
Yes, and I was, like, not my scene, man. I was, like, you know, really into 7 Seconds and Positive Youth and Straight Edge and whatnot. But I was still also really into metal and the local.
And crystal meth, right?
Yeah. Crystal Gale, too.
Who needs crystal meth when you have Crystal Gale? She has such long, luxurious hair. I love her.
I got to hang out with those Purgatory guys and roadie for them, and they were like a big influence, even though they were a metal band, and I was like this ratty hardcore kid. It was still, that was my introduction to seeing how, like, besides Domestic Crisis, seeing how like a band on a local basis does stuff.
So it's really like seeing a band for the first time.
Right, yeah.
Well, you know, those metal guys were like the real deal. Like, they had this huge practice room. They had the, you know, for band practice, the drums are fucking mic'd, set up on a drum riser, huge PA. You know, these guys were no joke. 3-hour practice is minimum, you know?
Right. the way you should do it before it kind of the ethic just
that
got.
sounds fun.
Yeah, right. No, I would never get through
Let's do
that.
that twice a week.
Right.
3 hours of 3-minute songs.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, wait, metal be like 6-minute songs.
That is Aron Dowell with his expert commentary. Now, Aron, what is like? So we get into like the late '90s here, and Aron, we'll get into you a little bit. You kind of start off a little bit different though. Like we start playing like. You guys kind of started playing with more of like the cock rock kind of scene, right? Or no? Do you want to talk?
Yeah, sure. I don't care. I'm not afraid to.
Right, we had CJ because there were kind of what I'm trying to illustrate where there were. As things kind of got rolling, it kind of split, and you had everything kind of had a life of its own. The hardcore scene was at least me, I have the perception that there was almost more integration earlier to where there'd be hardcore bands, metal bands, whatever, playing on the same venues and stuff. And I feel like at some point maybe things got strong enough that all these different kind of groups got their own scenes. Am I right with that, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, there used to be more varied bills. That's one big change. Is you used to go to JB's and there would be like Hypersell, who was total into eating acid and stuff, and then Confront would play the same show, who was a total straight edge guys, and then you might have the odd metal band on the bill, and there was also like
Sinistrike.
Yes, and then there was like Joey D from Fatal Charm. He was like in tight with Tony Pines and Steve from Confront, and even there's some glamsters out on the west side. We were friends with like Tony Belfi and guys like that.
Right.
We weren't like exclusionary assholes at all. It was too small of a scene to afford to have that.
Right, exactly. And, I think that's where you kind of get the best stuff because you go there, see one band, you get introduced. Now, you get introduced to something better that you wouldn't have normally have seen. Although I think, the problem is, I think in the last couple of years where you have promoters booking stuff, they're doing that, but they don't really care. They're just putting any band on a show, just throwing it all up together and see what sticks. Where those bands have no chemistry together and they're not really... no friendships or anything that kind of build that fun atmosphere that people want to come see. Where do you think that kind of changed, though, where it kind of was it around the 90s where things kind of got stronger, where you had the hardcore scene and, those kind of venues started popping up where you had it wasn't just the clubs, but you had more underground. You had the clubs, the main rock clubs, but then you had the underground clubs. We'll talk about a little bit how Speaking Tongues was when you had all the other stuff going on. Did that kind of pop up in the 90s, where the scene got a little bit bigger around here? Or?
We were still playing in all my bands were always, hardcore was always in clubs and stuff exclusively. There was places that would pop up like Herbs on Coventry for a while. But it was all in clubs until the first non-traditional place I started playing was the Berea and Roll Bowl. Everything else was always in clubs that they'd let you have a Sunday matinee or something or a Wednesday night. Everything else was just we just managed to cajole and wheedle and lie and trick these club owners into letting. This wild shit.
It should be a criminal enterprise. Being in a band should partway be a criminal enterprise where you have to rob and steal a little bit.
You know what went down on the road. Half of it was criminal. I mean, I booked most of our all the face value stuff. The biggest boon to the way we kept the band functioning, because I was going broke with the phone bills, was the tone dialers. And once you got the tone dialer, then you could you could book the tours for free because you didn't have to pay to use the phone.
Right.
So that was right there. Totally right. Then stolen credit cards. And the other big trick was the bleach and the spray gun into the Coke machines and getting all the money out. And that paid tolls across America for
I love when America be scammed so easily. Everything's so guarded now. You literally had to do that. I'm way too young because I miss where you could just steal and rob and threaten your way across the USA.
You're a fool if you didn't. I mean,
right? Because you don't have money. You're a bunch of kids. Barely probably affording the gear that you have and the upkeep on that. You got to do something. Yeah. And
it's too bad America grew past shooting bleach into Coke. Bring those days
shooting bleach in the Coke machine at the Rolling Bowl, I think would be utopia.
The Coke machine or the internet. Let's stay in the past.
Yeah. Hey, I take it in a minute. So, and then Aron, you kind of basically, let's talk about Billy Morris. He kind of started off at the Red Eye, and that's I know Jeff. You kind of started there too, and we'll get back. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but you kind of see how was it kind of starting playing, being I guess a punk band, but playing with we
were
guys
the ass end of the glam stuff because really we weren't good enough to
play those shows where
we were terrible.
Now,
so we just decided to do a terrible punk band.
Blastcats?
Yeah. That Blastcats. Yeah, we had that when we were like 18 years old, and that was not good. But you know, it's like the first venture into doing that, and there was nowhere for that. I mean, we couldn't play anywhere because we stunk.
Well, if you're proud of your first stuff, then
Well, show me the guy that comes out of the box with this fucking Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Nick Wolff.
First band. Come on. You know?
Nick Wolff Band, truth told through a series of lies. There is no curve. I came out right away and was a star. But you know, there's Michael Jordans and then there's Scottie Pippins. So
that's true. No, but like the Red Eye that was in North Royalton, but that had all kinds of shows. It had hardcore shows and glam shows and cover band shows and a bowling alley.
Right, and that's, I think music should have never gotten out of the bowling alley. That's like when it was those places, those bowling alleys that started booking shows kind of stopped doing it, or it got torn down because most of them are gone. Drive-ins and bowling alleys and skating rinks are done, and which sucks. That's you say like take the internet. I would get rid of the internet just to be able to like drink and drive and not put your kids in car seats. And like remember when like seats in cars where you sit like outside, you know, you leave them out and be like burning your skin. That doesn't happen anymore. Everything is so pussified. I would take that in a second. Playing having to rob people to get shows, not selling tickets. That stolen credit card should be your way to play music, not friggin' Guerrilla Presentations tickets. Dan Call, you scumbag. So let's talk about the 90s. Do you think things were better in the early 90s when it was all still kind of fresh and you had, you know, obviously there had been rock and roll, there had been metal, there had been punk rock before that, and they'd been played to death. But you have other things kind of popping up there, and these subgroups of these kind of musics all popping up and getting stronger. Like you said, like you know, the hardcore scene, I remember being really big at that point. Like, I remember, like, Erie was almost talked about as, like, a decent place for a while.
Erie was good. We had great shows at the Continental Ballroom.
Yeah.
People on a 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon in Erie. No one wants to go to Erie. But that was a good scene.
What do you attribute to that? Like, why do you think people were into it? I mean, obviously we have distractions now, and that kills some of it. But what is different now and then that makes people excited to go out to a show? What have we lost?
The straight edge thing was big in '87, '88. That got a whole new class of people into it. It was big for suburbanites. Could now you know, the parents felt somewhat safe, and the kids felt like they had like a somewhat of a, you know. You don't have to be Johnny Thunders or GG to participate in punk, and so that minted a lot of kids who. Which
I think is wrong. You should
hung out for 3 years, you know, and then moved on. But that's where you had a combination of right social movement and.
Heroin makes you creative, and anyone that says anything other than that, no, I'm sorry.
Creative or dead.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was a big part of it, I would say, and plus all the first generation classic hardcore bands were either broken up or going metal. So something had to be done for hardcore.
See, everyone just goes metal when they give up and they realize they suck. They just start playing metal.
Or they learn how to play. You know?
Like it's even Stotch at the Spitfire. You know, he used to be happy having punk rock, and he got sick of not making any money ever. So he's got to do Januaries or metal. You know, the Hewlett now. That's you have integrity until you realize you want people listening to your music and you play metal. Right? No, I'm just.
So he has to pay the phone bill.
Right, exactly.
Or not.
Right. So I guess, you know, so you guys all played in bands and stuff like that. You did Face Value. Let's talk a little bit about Face Value and getting into that kind of hardcore straight. Now, was that, you guys, I mean, obviously that was kind of in the middle of the whole straight edge thing, right? Most of your following was kind of.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, but we were a very atypical band, which is kind of. It would have been a lot easier to if we'd been a straight edge band, because then we could have been right up there with the Mouthpieces and these other bands that were just, you know, able to easily be classifiable. I was the only guy who was like, you know, looked like that and was straight edge for most of the band. But then you had a bunch of Hellraisers and convicts from Medina County.
Right, they're not schoolboys in the rest of the Face Value, right?
Not, but it was weird because we're on the road and you know, we're kind of lumped in with these whole straight edge bands, which is most of my doing because I was part of that scene. But also, I was, you know, I'm from Cleveland. I'm not like some kid from Beechwood that, like, you know, my roots are the same as everyone else. Bob Seger, professional wrestling, trash culture. So I was never like one of these educated type dudes who were like, above, the bros with the, drinking Jenny Cream and listening to Skinner.
Right.
So the rest of the guys were essentially playing this stripped down, speedy hardcore, but at the same time, we were still like we would do. A lot of times we'd have a show canceled, and if you're on the road and you're sitting there and you're not playing, you're losing money. So we'd start calling up whatever rock or metal club in town and do the rock set and do just Mountain and James Gang songs,
right?
And mix in some of the more unhardcore value songs. So that made us a totally weird band that was kind of somewhat a fish out of water in our little weird scene, which made us more unique and a different sounding band, but also hampered us being as big as we could have been had we just been a stereotypical straight edgy band,
Right. It's weird how like really survival plays into the whole kind of like style, which is just a basic necessity of you got to eat and you got to get some gas in the tank.
Absolutely. I mean, Scott Dolan, the drummer, he was kind of like tenured. He worked at the Medina Library, and that dude had like a gang of vacation time, so he was never in danger of losing his job. Downtown worked for his dad. He was never in danger of losing his job. He hadn't always had some chick he could sponge off of, so he just kind of flew by to see his pants. I was the guy who was like, shit, I'm coming home to like a couch in Heather Silky's basement, and I don't know how long that's going to last.
Right.
So it was always desperation time. Every time every summer I have to quit the job and then just deal with the consequences when we got home.
And what makes you do that? Because I feel the two are just like, you know what? This is such a pain in the ass. I'm just going to get this shitty job and I'm just going to do it. Why is it so hard to turn away for a lot of people to make really what should be the right decision? And it's just for some reason all the shit you got to deal with. There is kind of an addicting aspect to the whole experience, as miserable as you might be of being out on the road. I would think, right?
Is you're out on the road and you almost feel like you feel like civilians are like just weaklings. Like they could never hang a day in a life like this. Transmission's broken down. We're stuck in Fargo. It's the last night of the tour. We have nowhere to go anyhow. And most people would be like, fuck this. But to willingly dust yourself off and do it again the next year, knowing that the hardest thing is having everyone on the same page, because if everyone is like all in, like with the concept of we're going to be broke, we're going to starve, we're going to live this hand-to-mouth existence, we're going to fucking ruin relationships and lose places to live.
Right.
If everyone's in it together, it's easier to do it. But when you got a couple of guys who have landing pads and other guys who don't.
Like when you have a guitarist say you offend and call an asshole and tell the drummer not to listen to it and he quits the band. You can't have stuff like that. And you talked, you like wrestling. Did you ever think, ever in the world, while you were doing the face value and the straight edge stuff, that there would be a WWF world champion who would have a straight edge gimmick?
No, but I would always say this to Jesse Parch, and he'd get really pissed off about it because he thought I was like mocking his whole thing. I was like, dude, you're into wrestling. How do you not take the straight edge gimmick? You could be the biggest heel in the world. What do Americans want to be? What do Americans hold most sacred in the world? Their drinking, smoking cigarettes, and ability to drive a gas-guzzling car.
Great country. I love it.
All you do is come out and say, hailing from the ecosystem, and then you grab the microphone and like, all you fat hillbilly slobs in the crowd, put down that poison alcohol. Put down Marlboro Country is the cancer ward in the hospital. I forbid you. And then people be up in arms and you'll get amazing heat.
Right, and it worked.
Dude, that's not cool, man. I take veganism seriously.
Jesse Parch is a dude. Jesse Parch, by the way, for those of you who don't know him, which is everybody, is just notorious for just being an asshole, really. I don't know what he's done. He's never really been in bands. He wrestled for a little while, but really just a big mouth. And I like the guy, don't get me wrong.
I get along with Jesse. I mean, at least he somewhat put his money where his mouth was. He liberated a fucking animal lab and caught a prisoner.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I remember sitting with him. He'd get, and he was not with the weed or drugs or anything like that, and he had to get drug tested every month and had to like pay for it and take a cab and shit. And that's like the ultimate hell, I would think, for someone like him.
He used to push me and Matt Pauly into the wall in the hallways for eating fiestadas.
Yeah, we got into it.
So you should be eating Captain Taco.
You're not designed to digest this.
My buddy Fagoon and Jimmy Rose, obviously you know Jimmy Rose pretty well, Tony, but they were eating bees, and Jesse got in their face the one day about eating bees.
Well, who's got that? Okay, you're yelling at a guy for eating bees, but The guy's eating beef.
Right, nothing you can say.
Are bees really meat?
Look, realize who I'm talking about. Fagoon and Jimmy Rose are not exactly Rhodes Scholars.
Who was doing it? Jimmy Rose and Fagoon?
Yeah.
They were gonna taste like honey.
Okay, so you got Jimmy Rose, enough said, and then you got Fagoon, who tied his girlfriend to a railroad track.
All he was guilty of was being in love, okay? He just loved her too much. That's all. All right, so let's get into AMS 211, the elephant in the room. A great band that, talk about people not being able to have the stomach. I'm starting shit. These guys aren't saying anything. I'm the one talking shit. But just how you guys hooked up and kind of, because I was actually, Aron, just kind of starting to hang out with you at the time and kind of becoming friends with you. And Tony, I didn't really know you yet at the time, but
Jimmy Rose is responsible for the band because he's like, you got to meet my friend Aron. You got. Little guy, this Aron, he's the best guitar player. You got him. He loves wrestling. You guys would be best friends. And I never even met Aron. I called him. We talked on the phone for a half hour. I was like, I got to get this guy in this stepsister band. And then one thing led to another.
Aron talked on the phone for a half hour. It was just a long conversation with Aron.
And that wasn't a cell phone either.
Right.
Regular phone.
That was. I can see you're like trying to talk to Tony in the living room. Your mom's like rearranging stuff at you. You're throwing stuff at her.
That's the way Aron, right?
and then that's right. And then I remember Tony was dropping the tape off, and he was coming down the street. I was like, "Hey, be careful! My dad's pulling out." He's like, "I wish my dad would have pulled out."
That's all you need to say.
Then we had Stepsister for a couple years, and that fizzled out.
And let's talk while we're on the subject of Stepsister. And if you guys please give me a couple stories. Obviously, the legendary SFE Scott Aiken, a longtime drummer in bands. What was he? He was in the Guns.
He wasn't a drummer.
Or when he played? What did he play? I'm sorry, he was drummer for you guys.
He played guitar in the Guns, and then he played guitar in Knife Dance as well.
And along with him and his brother, Tom Dark, you guys joined the band with. Well, you were already in the band with them, Tony, right? And then you guys got Aron.
I was in the. You're right. We played. I want to say we played one show with the guy who was the existing guitar player, Andrew something, and he was in Spike
Big
Band,
Impact,
old Cleveland band, but it just wasn't. I told Tom, I was like, dude, if you want to, your vision is the same as mine for this band. You want to do this Detroit greasy, punkish Stooges, MC5, boogie, thing. This guy ain't gonna cut it, and
And he's like, Tony, he works cheap.
Well, to Tom's credit, he was like, whatever you think we should do.
I love the Tom Dark. That's one of the best imitations in this city is the Tom Dark voice.
Good one. Sean Philly does a good one when he came home and Tom had his big pizza, giant pizza. And Sean's like, "Oh, Tom, is that your pizza?" He's like, "Yeah, and." Like, what a dick!
Don't even think you're gonna get it crushed, okay, Sean? So, and obviously, the SFE is kind of I think a legend. Really,
an enigma.
He is an enigma.
True, yeah, it's the best word for him.
And can you? What was the story like? Him keeping papers in the scene magazines in the garage, and like.
Aron's got a lot of good SFE stories. Tell him about the one with the motorcycle.
Oh, that was the best when we were going on tour. When Stepsister was going on tour, and Scott he got his income tax check. It was probably June or July or something. And I remember we're all standing in the front yard waiting for Scott, and we see this motorcycle coming down the street. And we're getting closer. We're like, "That's Scott," and he pulls in the driveway. We're like, "Where'd you get this motorcycle from?" He's like, "Some dude." We're like, "Yeah." And he's like, we're like, "What's wrong with it?" He's like, "It needs this part." And I'm like, "So let me get this right. On the way to leaving to go on tour, you stopped and bought a motorcycle off some dude, and it needs this part with your income tax check." Yeah. And he put it in the garage, and it was there until they did.
That was
yeah. And this is a guy who was the backstory of the guy is incredible. His job was delivering the scene, the free times, and that's not enough, the Wall Street Journal.
Well, there's a jump. Scene, free times, in Wall Street Journal. One of those don't belong.
They did a tour before we were in the band with Anti-Scene, a 2-week tour. And Scott would somehow drive home himself every night to deliver the papers and meet the band on the road. He did that for every show. I mean, he was he lost his key to the house. So instead of just going to his roommate, who is his brother, and saying, "Tom, I lost my key," can I get yours or can you make me another one? He just decided I'm going to use the window. So you're talking about a guy with a giant fro that looks like Rob Tyner with mirrored shades and a trench coat coming in and out the back window. He'd be hanging out in the front room with people watching TV. They'd turn around. Scott, he left. I didn't see him leave. He uses the window.
Well, it's funny you say it because like I instantly remember like hearing that story, and then like years go by, and I'm living with you guys, and I have a key, and I lost it, and I didn't want to tell you that I lost it, so I had to sneak it through the back window. And I remember the first time I did it, the story's going through my head, and I'm just like, what have I become? And I was mortified that one of you guys would catch me.
Why you just asked for another key?
I saw like the rationalization there for a minute. I can't tell you now what it was, but at that moment I understood where he was coming from. All right, this is Tough Scene Cleveland. We're going to be back in a few minutes. Can play some more music. We're going to talk about the rise and fall of Am Still 11.
And I'm going to piss in the sink.
Right, the fall of the music of the rise and fall of Parma music, and hopefully the rise again if Lippuci and Nick Wolff DJ night can have any help on that. Tough Scene Cleveland. We will be back.
Listen anyway, keeps going on, keeps going on. Every day people blow my mind when I wasn't talking about a work inside. Keep moving on, keep going on and on. Alright, alright. Listen to them anyway. Keep moving on. Keep going on and on and on. Alright. Well, alright. You sit at home, you sit at home, you sit alone. The world going down on me, the whole world going down, you see the whole
Tough Scene Cleveland, we're back. That last song, that was Homo Stupids with Parrish versus Technology. Parrish is losing big time. It's actually Fang versus Keyman. I hate these bands with their clever little names. Before that was The Pleasant Distractions, Whole World, with the great guitar stylings of last week's guest, CJ Gunya, and the beautiful voice of Holly, who was also on last week. Check that out, actually. Go onto YouTube or through Facebook, Tough Scene Cleveland. You can get our current episode that we are on Thursdays, or we have clips. We have the Frank Martinez weekly show report, and past episodes. We're also going to have like best of clips that we'll have up. There's tons of stuff to check out on Tough Scene Cleveland. We are back here, resuming our conversation with Aron Dowell, Tony Erba, and Jim Lippuci. And where we left off, we were talking about Amps 211, and we were talking about the amazing, legendary SFE, God rest his soul. So, and that was kind of a weird time, because that's when I kind of started playing music, and that's when it all ended. And the last vestige of good music in this city died. But you guys are kind of rocking with that now. So, it's Stepsister at that time. What happens that you guys become? Because Amps 11 was kind of, you guys kind of naturally kind of just started right after that.
Stepsister was just kind of ran its course. It was just kind of done for whatever reason, and then we pretty much just knew. We started Amps 11. But
you weren't too busy playing in Slutbox with me.
Yeah,
Slutbox.
Yeah, I like that. Listen, when all you have is parodies, you have to make fun of yourself because there's nothing else.
I'll admit to glam rock.
We're cutting that out. That won't be in there. Well, Pride of Ohio. No, you were smart to stay out of that. But so that ended. Now you guys hook up with Steve Callahan. Attila and Matt.
Well, Attila
right?
was in Stepsister.
Oh yeah, it was Attila. That's right. Attila was in Stepsister towards the end.
Basically, the brothers quit in Stepsister, and we pretty much started Amps 11 literally that same day, because we knew who we pretty much wanted. Because I was playing in Southern Trespass with Matt, and
right, you were.
So we pretty much knew right away and had a bunch of songs written. So it was just. It was like not even missing a beat.
It was a messy end of the band, but it was a totally seamless. I mean, we were up and running in a week, and we were already like, the first song was like, we're already twice the band that Stepsister was, because, how do you? Tom was just became a difficult guy, and in some ways, and then there was a lot of drama with. Twins, and I'm dating one, Scott's dating the other. I'm living with the guy. It was just probably the messiest possible situation.
It's like a soap opera, like a Spanish soap opera.
Yeah. It was ugly. I wasn't going to say nothing. It was really ugly.
It's pretty rough, but
pretty funny though.
We just I didn't see it coming. I was like, thought we were in a band practice that night, and then it just like,
Tony, it's Tom.
Well, instead of having band practice that night, we ended up the band broke up. We got rip roaring drunk, and Attila threw a beer glass through a.
Yeah.
So that was
van.
That was good foreshadowing of what the band would be for the next couple of years.
Yep. Tony got DDT'd in the bar. For real, he did. He got DDT'd.
Where was that at? That was
the Jigsaw.
Yeah, the joke I was just about that was Dave Kahns, my current landlord. Respectable member of society. Well, no, somewhat, but DDT. That was and that's kind of where I wanted to go, because for a while, really, the club. You guys had like probably the last fetches are like cool places where like Flashes and what else was kind of around there towards the end, and Fantasy even still. But after that, things kind of got really bad with like Peabody's being one of the few places. I know, like as far as like me and a lot of people I talked to, just kind of sick of going to those places and dealing with that. And to get a good show, you really had to go out to like. The Grog Shop or the Beachland, and they can only book so many acts. So it was Parma. Billy Morris started the Revolution, and I know that's where.
Okay, the name of the bar is the Revolution. Billy Morris didn't start a revolution.
He started the revolution of a bunch of trucks, but we also had the Jigsaw, and the Jigsaw. Was important. We just went there and hung out way before there was a venue or a club there. That was just a place where we can go out and throw popcorn all over the place, make a total mess. put pubes in people's drinks and get DDT'd. And our buddy Larry ran it, and he's basically ran it for most of the time.
It was good.
Then it was good, and it was fun. He didn't care what we did. He was laughing at the stupid shit that was going on. And as that whole thing kind of wraps around, like you guys have now Amps 11 going, and there becomes kind of a new, at least I think from what I saw of everywhere, kind of a new group kind of putting together of different bands playing together and kind of having like a home base and stuff.
Well, Amps 11 played at lots of different places.
Right, you guys, I mean, obviously you guys did it.
Everywhere around here, pretty much equally.
The thing was, there was a real, it was, the time was right because there was a super strong rock scene in town. Disengage held sway. I mean, they were the #1 band forever.
Right.
Great band, good friends, and then.
Despite what Mushroom Edge sycophants might want you to think.
Yeah.
Well, and then you had Sign-Offs who came out real strong, and they were super popular, and then you had Stepsister who were making inroads, but at first it was hard to get the band booked because people didn't want to deal with Tom, so we overcame that, and we're doing good, and then
we didn't want to deal with Tom.
Yeah.
And then we started this new thing, and it was like, right from the get-go, we were made an impact. So you had a couple real good years there where, the shows were well attended. Also, the Hi-Fi was in one of their upswings.
Right, where it's still like the Blind Lemon or whatever, like right before.
It was the Hi-Fi.
Right, they were doing good, and drawing a lot of people, and a lot of there's just a very cohesive, strong group of bands that played similar style, so we were able to consistently play on good bills, and as a whole, that whole rock revival scene was taken off.
Right.
Helicopters and all the bands that spun off from being influenced by bands like that. So,
but that was kind of really, you guys were kind of even in the early part of that. It really kind of became all-consuming, kind of as a couple of years went on and stuff. But yeah, definitely that rock revival, and definitely, I mean, you guys kind of personified that as well. Just big, heavy guitar sound, strong fucking rhythm, crazy front man, like just a fun blast. And you guys did play everywhere. You guys played from good clubs to a little hole in the walls, everywhere in between. I remember, I think one of the first times I met you, Tony, you guys were playing the Mantis in Kent, which was basically just this guy, like the other side of his house, and there was like dogs running around and little kids.
Yeah, but we had awesome shows,
right?
There, and there was like, that's the. See, if here's a secret that these bands don't understand. You have bands come out that are like, we're not going to play that, or we're going to have a street team, and we're going to do that. If you want to be a popular band and cross party lines, you got to play everywhere. You got to play like that place we played in Vermont that was like that.
Oh yeah.
Whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah, we had to go across Lake Placid, New York on a ferry.
Yeah.
We're driving in a van and the freeway just literally ran out into Lake Champlain. We're like, what in the fuck is this? And we had
get on the boat.
Yeah, we had literally get on a boat, and that was where me and Tony were looking for the champ. But
the point is like, if a band's willing to get their hands dirty and do that, maybe you won't play that same place. The next time you come through, you'll play a bigger room. Or if you're still playing there, word of mouth will spread that these guys are like, we're seeing a band that can actually write songs and have good equipment and really just, have their shit together. And they're cool with playing in a place like this. Yeah, because I saw respect,
Right.
Because we played from laundromats to wrestling rings.
Yes, and a public library.
Yeah,
public library. We did, absolutely. And then we were plagued with a possum that night.
The Bumpin' Uglies, I know they used to talk about like wrestling rings and stuff. They were a band from Detroit that also ran their own wrestling promotion. I know you guys worked with them a lot.
IWR.
Right, yeah. The
Independent Wrestling Revolution. Now they just do lucha stuff.
Yeah, they sold it. They don't do the music anymore.
They do the music a little bit, but they do the wrestling a lot too, because the wrestling's, I mean, come on. After you've played a year's worth of shows, you're like, this is, you start getting beat doing that, but who's going to get sick of being a wrestler? I mean.
And that's what all of us are.
Less work.
Very big pro wrestling fans, and that was. I remember when you guys like played a show with them. That was like one of the first times. There was like Necro Butcher and stuff like that, and like Amazing Nate, and like it was just cool. You see Necro Butcher in the wrestler, and I was sitting there talking shit like this guy's horrible. Why do they have him on? Like, and it's like it was just, really cool times where you guys like had a good relationship with them and kind of had some really good shows.
And like Madman Pondo and stuff.
And it seemed like when you guys were doing that, there was this band in every city, really, where you guys would go that would really be like, it was the GC5 in a different place, and, you know, whoever, I know, like, Weed Eater you guys play with, like, and you guys were kind of like, they kind of brought their own feel and style, and, like, when you guys would come back, they'd be like, oh, all right, I knew of, like, a couple more bands, you know, that were awesome, and...
Yeah, I loved it, man. In my opinion, we should be on the road doing this shit next weekend somewhere, but... doesn't always work out that way.
Right, and that's what it seems like. It's almost kind of done, and like I feel like I was in it very much the last gasp of it, but now I feel like there's really nothing left, and it's
because people don't have to leave their house to see music.
Right,
that's one big thing. Gas is $3.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
And you're signed, and you don't even have a car.
Right, it's still killing me.
I don't know how that affects the price of shoe leather.
Well, it makes drivers really angry, and I get hit with a lot of puddles now. Yeah. It's not fun.
Well, specifically for the type of music we played, the whole rock revival was crested.
Right.
I don't know who in the hell is out there anymore. I mean, of course there's a band in every city that do that, but in Cleveland, I can only think of maybe the Suede Brothers that are like the big, and they're not. Those guys aren't even really plugged in. Like, I don't know any of those dudes, and they're not like came up from like doing DIY stuff. So, you know, there is no Disengage, Amos to 11,
right.
Sign Off.
There's not even bands. It's not really worth it for a band to learn instruments and get guys together to play shows. It's, you know, when you can do this stuff on your computer, you have this dubstep garbage, which I really don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that I hate it, and I want it to be wiped off the face of this planet. Yeah. But it's like, they don't even need musicians in music anymore.
It's much more geared towards indie rock holds sway, and people have figured out that the little girls go for it in a huge way, and you can just kind of jingle jangle and write these meandering songs that don't have the big monster chorus or necessarily even a riff. It's just kind of jangling, and you adopt the whole, like, all these bands say they're individual, but they all look the same with the hair, the stubble, the tight pants, and this and that, and it's not offensive, it's not intimidating.
It's not
dangerous.
dangerous.
Of it. It's not dangerous at all, and so that's why the only thing that draws is well, metal will always draw to some extent, but indie rock is the big game in town.
Right. Well, and it seems like, and that's it seems like with just everything in general, there seems to be this catering to the female and gay audience, whether it's movies, TV, music, or any, you know, especially in music. And a pull away from that, like almost like, not to break it up in demographics, but that 18 to 49 male demographic is almost ignored, and everything now seems to be catering to like women or like that kind of audience, you know.
So what you're saying is, in a couple of years, Tony and Jim are going to be in a different age demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm working my way through it. I mean, that's actually a pretty good observation, because you have to stop and think, you know, like the people who run big record labels, the few that are left, they also, I'm sure, you know, they have people on their staffs that have degrees in marketing, and they realize that women are an underserved audience. They're going to open their pocketbooks, and gays are a totally underserved,
right.
who are just now gaining a foothold of merchandiser catering to them.
And being observed as an audience, I mean.
Yes, so they're just, you know, it's all about, for a business standpoint, spending as little money as you want and catering to the largest possible audience that is ripe for the fucking picking.
So no more domestic crisis or lack. America, you have Glee now. That is great.
And now you got these young kids with their death metal bands doing like the screamo thing, where you'll have the Carcass vocals and it'll be a tough riff, and then it goes into this whining singing.
Yeah, well, that's a formula that's so.
I cannot believe some of the shit that like he was speaking to. There's some bands on Victory that I'm in some hardcore group on Facebook, and every now and then some kid will post something on there and be like, "You got to see this. You won't, they'll post a video like, you got to see this new band on Victory, Eskimo Callboy. What the fuck is this?" And it's like that. They have the weird hair, neon guitars. They look like that band LMFAO, and they're, and it's just the most bizarre shit. But, to these kids that are playing it, that's the current thing, man.
Yeah.
Gotta look out for that weird hair.
Yeah, the weird hair, right.
We're all doomed. As if only we could be more appealing to women, and that is the downfall. See, it's funny that the one thing that got us all into it is now our downfall when it comes. I wish I was a model thin young man or a promiscuous girl from Miami, so I can make some money in this business.
Well, I mean, hey, I wish all the Amps and Stepsister shows and whatever band I had had a whole jam-packed club full of women and gays or whoever that were, I'd rather, gays. I
want a jam-packed club of gays. In fact, most of our shows we've been really trending strong on the gay audience.
What I'm trying to say is I would have no problem with that being my entire audience, but but I'm not going to play fucking Hall Notes to get there.
Right, exactly, yeah. It's all dead. It's run its course. But some of us are still stupid and trying to do it. And if you are, more power to you. Just have fun doing it. Don't push it too far. I don't know. Well, it's great talking to you guys. I don't know. Do we? God, where am I at here? Dave, we'll cut all this shit out. Yeah, this is all the thinking stuff.
Can I talk about my single-digit handicap?
Well, that's what
over the off season.
Yeah, I think I do want to leave it to you guys. Let's. Is there anything important to you that you would like to use this radio time to say? We'll start with Aron.
Yeah, I just pissed in an iced tea bottle.
And that iced tea bottle will be here for months. I guarantee. This slob.
I hid it in the basement.
He's gonna have some records piled up on it. It's a new end table. Tony, anything you want to leave these kids with? Do you think is there anything going on that's good right now that you think is cool, that is like redeemable in this whole game that we play?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. I mean,
I'm sure there are. I just don't know.
I'm kind of out of the loop, man. I'm just trying not to lose my house, honestly.
Right? Yeah. No, I know how it is. It's one. I think it makes it tougher too. Like Cleveland, the way things are sucking, it's so tough for everybody. It's like you have more important things than really going out every night. And when you do go out and it sucks, it makes you not want to go out again for a while. And that's why all you assholes that want to sell tickets and want to talk about how great you are and show off, and just stop and leave it to the jerk-offs that just want to have fun, so people can at least get their entertainment value out of their hard night's work.
We know that your spam emails are copy and paste.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know about anything new that's going on, considering I was just listening to Testament, Practice What You Preach. That's from '89.
Yeah, I mean, I spend my time on YouTube, like, watching Florida wrestling from '81, with the Kevin Sullivan satanic angle. So that's my... That's the state of my dipping into current entertainment.
Listen, Kevin Sullivan and woman any day over over a mushroom head. Take it in a second.
Lately, I've been watching Jim Cornette interviews on YouTube, trying to find the most ridiculous ones and those hours of fun.
You can really literally go through that and you get lost in a maze. Like, you want to hear one thing from one guy and a bunch of stuff will pop up. Next thing you know, you're like listening to Ricky Morton give like inspirational speeches about yoga.
Where is Todd Tozeski these days, Jim?
I think he lives in California. I don't know. He actually just sent me a Facebook message because I think the exact words were, "Do you still hate me?"
Who is, for the sake of the fact that I am doing a show here, who is Todd?
He was just some dude. He was actually the original singer in Domestic Crisis before I joined, and then he was in what?
He was in One Life Crew. And
all right.
He was the total drunk.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said
he got
Ted Kaczynski.
And he played in that band Bloodsick with us. He was
right.
And then he was in Nunslaughter for a while.
He got a big One Life tattoo on his stomach and drunk the whole time. And like literally 2 days after he got this big gangsta tattoo, they're like, "You're fucking out of the
I'm not going to say who, but I stopped one of their members from raping a girl in a parking lot once, so
oh my goodness.
Fuck that band. But I want to ask you real quick. I think we're about done here, but how was it like that time where you're doing Face Value and stuff, and all these bands start showing up, these like Wigger, New York type, because I know like One Life Crew was totally like that, and I hated that.
There was a weird 80 mid to late 80s through the early 90s where like when it was like the style of hardcore was like fast and speedy and very 7 secondsy and positive message and this and type of thing. And that's what our band was kind of geared around. But then it went like this dramatic sea change happened where all of a sudden the vegan thing and the chugga chugga and the tough guy thing came out, like big hardline vegan thing and tough guys and doing the spin kicks in the pit, and I quit.
Right.
I was like,
you didn't want any part of that.
I was like, I want nothing to do with this. And I was like, I'm going to start a band that's really not, tough guys, but a threatening band that's going to have a lot of problems and people are going to have a lot of problems with. And we started H100s. But yeah, I didn't want nothing to do with any of that shit.
Right. Yeah, then you go just cause destruction. We don't need all the muscles and the tough guy prancing and stuff.
Ironically enough, we didn't do anything. We just showed up and played, and these kids seemed to have a big hit. I don't know what it was about that band, but trouble followed.
So you're doing Cheap Tragedies. Is Cheap Tragedies your current band, or what's going on?
I left that band in I want to say 2009.
Oh wow, so I'm really in the loop.
Yeah, I left, and then we kind of rebooted the band, and we did a couple shows, and then we had a big fiasco at the Beachland, and that kind of took the wind out of our sails. We were supposed to play this after show thing with Zeke and Anti-Scene, and they couldn't figure out that, the way that works is as soon as the headlining band in the big room's done, the band in the little room is there on stage and immediately starts playing.
Right.
The whole evening has to work like that, or else there's no point in an after show. Well, she couldn't get the band off the stage, and I don't know if she even tried or what the hell happened, but I was out of town too, so I drove in an hour and a half to make the show. We loaded our gear in there, sat in the kitchen with our thumbs up our ass, while this other band played in the small room until 2 in the morning, until we finally realized we're not playing.
Right.
So.
And that was the end of that.
That was like the second version of that band, and that was that.
And so Jim, what are you doing? So you still got Soulless going on, even to sans Jim Corrick, and you're doing the Hive thing. What else? Anything else going on with you?
That's about it. Trying to put a new Soulless record out. It's pretty much recorded. Got to finish it.
Where'd you guys do that at?
At our bass player has a studio called Bad Back Studios. You should check that out. He did like.
Well, I can't. I have an agreement that I can't even look at another studio, or Dave Parrish Enterprises will hunt me down.
Is he doing Forged in Flame?
Yeah, he's recording Forged in Flame now. He did he did that last Midnight record, and he's done some other stuff. He's pretty good.
Cool.
Plus, he's got a kitty cat there that we call Snacks Mahone that I've gotten on Blabbermouth twice now.
It's a big surprise that the word snacks comes in your vocabulary in that band.
Well, that's his cat, man. I don't know.
So you guys when are you expecting that to come out? Anytime soon, or is it? Yeah,
this
one of those deals.
Be out, I don't know, 3-4 years from now.
Right.
Called the Chinese Democracy.
Yeah.
You could do a record release with Ground Zero.
Wow.
What is it? Crush, Kill, Destroy. Wait, Dave, go find me a copy of Crush, Kill, Destroy.
Come on, man. Kevin Kidder is a great guy.
I love him. I've worked with him for a long time. He's hilarious.
His musical taste is like his hairline.
I'm one to talk.
That's hard.
Yeah, I can't either.
Man has a hell of a nice car.
Oh, yeah.
But and Dave is looking for it. We have between Eternal Legacy and Sandy's bands, we can't find the Ground Zero record right now.
Well, I was saying that because it says it's going to take forever for that record to come out. I was like, well, those guys, because I worked with Kevin for a long time, they had an album recorded 6 years, 3 songs recorded 6 years ago.
I love the bands like that are always like, what are you doing? We're working on our album. That was 4 years ago. New album, right? No, same one. We got some really good demos out of it.
That's us now. We're just going to work on this record.
You're just becoming more and more of a joke every year you go on, aren't you? It's just really going bad for you, isn't it, Jim? You're in at the Hive.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim is at the Hive. Do you guys have anything booked yet for that, or?
Just there's a Maiden Voyage and a Dio tribute band, a Maiden tribute and a Dio tribute on February 18th. I think we're going to do Judas Priest tribute on St. Patrick's Day because that's a very...
Nothing says, St. Patrick's Day like Judas Priest. I love the way you think. You're my myopic view.
I'm grasping at straws here, man.
As long as you're wasted, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Just trying to find some bands that want to play the club, that's all.
Well, there might be some big things happening in the near future, and I definitely wish you the best of sport. Aron, how is the handicap looking for next summer?
I'm thinking about going to the belly putter.
Yeah.
Because you get a better pendulum, so I can shave a couple off.
Good, all right.
I think the real question is, how's Jim's handicap?
He can shave a few off. He's wobbling a little bit.
Literally.
All right, well, that is about it for Tough Scene Cleveland here this week. I want to thank my guest, Jim Lippuci. Tony Erba,
Boo.
and
Yes.
Aron Dowell.
Crickets.
Nothing. And also my co-host / producers, Jeff. What's Jeff Buffalo? You got to come up with a better name.
And Dave Dolphin.
And Dave Hammercock or whatever.
Dolphin
Cockin.
Thank you.
You are such an ass. And we call you Spray Paint Dave. That's always your name. One nickname, please. Just stick with it. I am Nick Wolff. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with you next week. Tough Scene Cleveland. Subscribe to Tough Scene Cleveland on YouTube. Like Tough Scene Cleveland on Facebook.